Travis Wayne Goodsell. Last night, did it yet again. Got an idea to check on some information. My intention was earlier in the evening, before I would go to bed, to do a bunch of video clips about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints lies, and went to assemble the first one together of both Hinckley and Monson lying about the excommunication of Thomas B. Marsh, using George Albert Smith as their resource for that information. And when I went to obtain Thomas B. Marsh's original license to be an elder, to be a missionary in 1836, I then decided, fine, let's get it all. I had previously, when I found out about the Joseph Smith papers, I began trying to obtain all of the documents and putting them also into a Word program for my files in my archives. And then Paul came along and asked to help, and I had him help with Joseph Smith papers, and it's unclear as to whether there were overlapping, but I wanted to make sure that I obtained the Joseph Smith papers, the original documents. And so he also provided me with the files and pictures of all of the documents. But they're lost in the archives, and I don't know if they are labeled correctly, and they're definitely not filed easily to find, as my main files are upwards of, well, my videos are 15K, right? Strengthening Church Members Committee. And then there's the main files that make up the YouTube videos, which are probably another 10K on top of that, maybe. I'd have to count. So yes, it's in desperate need of organization. And with 25 to 30, who knows how much, files in terabytes, that's a lot. And so I just went to the Joseph Smith papers and redid it all last night. And so copied and pasted the Kirtland Elder certificates from 1836 to June 1838. I specifically typed in June 1838. There's a reason for that. There is a reason for the season. And then the number of pictures of the actual certificates to be an elder are 195 photo pages. These are the kinds of documents that are in my terabytes of archives. And so stayed up late to make sure I got all of this, and when it was all said and done, the project to make the videos failed last night. So I'll have to try to find some time to resume it yet again. So the reason why June 1838 is because Section 115 claims to have been by Joseph Smith. I'll read it to you from Bruce R. McConkie. Revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet at Far West, Missouri, April 26th, 1838. Making known the will of God concerning the building up of that place of the Lord's house. So, as Nelson also, with his mug, got up at the pulpit of conference and said, "See, Travis, for thus saith my church, for thus shall my church be called in the last days." Didn't say then. Even the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so, yes, it talks about the gathering together upon the land of Zion and upon her stakes may be for a defense. Far West, Missouri. So this is misinterpreted, but the claim that Joseph Smith on his own, without a vote of the priesthood, changed the name of the church, April 26th, 1838, in Far West, Missouri. There are some problems with this, but I was only focused on Thomas B. Marsh, not the name of the church yet again. This would be another of the videos that I would make. The problem I've already known, because I knew that Joseph Smith's 1838 vision accounts was in the summer of 1838, after April 26th, and I found in the Joseph Smith papers the original manuscript by Joseph Smith of 1838 without the name, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And Royal Skousen honestly put in that it was Willard Richards who wrote it in later in this valley, tampering with the document. Then you have Joseph Smith having published the 1838 visionary account with the name, the Church of the Latter-day Saints, in the Times and Seasons in Nauvoo in 1842, confirming that Joseph Smith, having been allowed to edit it and get it published, still kept the original name that was changed in 1834 by a unanimous vote of the priesthood. Not Joseph Smith alone. In fact, it was Sadie Rigdon who recommended the name change. I also found in the Joseph Smith papers of marriage licenses by Joseph Smith after April 26th, 1838, in which Joseph Smith still continued to put the name of the church as the Church of the Latter-day Saints. And so there's 3 witnesses that Joseph Smith did not change the name of the church to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. that those documents that say that Joseph Smith did change the name are forgeries. By Brigham Young. And I've established that Brigham Young indeed is the one who is the master forger behind it all. And I obtained the witnesses to that fact, that Brigham Young officially changed the name of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in February 6th, 1851, thanks to Stanford, providing me with the original source documents here in the territory of Utah, but claiming it was the state of Deseret. He was forming a coup and purposely had incorporated the name of the church for the upcoming Mormons who would be coming to the valley to join him. He had never originally intended to continue the church in this valley. That was the backup plan when Mexico surprisingly succeeded the territory to the United States the very next year after his arrival. So that screwed up his plans. He was intending to raise up the Danites in his kingdom of Deseret with polygamy, and that backfired immediately. So, plan B. It's the way it should be, pure and simple. And so, yeah, the two licenses that were made clearly indicate that in Kirtland, Joseph Smith couldn't have done it on his own, because the Saints still were doing licenses up until March. And then in June 1838, you've got two final ones in Kirtland before the Kirtland Exodus. If you've been following me, you know that I've been going over with you the actual events of church history that the church doesn't want you to know about, that I've been trying to explain for you. I probably should do it on the other side. You noticed something different, did you? Coming up. It's in the video. So, Lihasa Hollister and Isaac Aldrich were given licenses of the Church of the Latter-day Saints after Joseph Smith supposedly changed the name. And Mormons can argue that Joseph Smith, being in Far West, not in Kirtland anymore, therefore changed it and didn't bother to tell anybody. They knew where to go when they exodused, so it wasn't a surprise. Dear God. All the excuses to try to prove the lie is true. So yeah, there is nothing proving the church is true. The church lies. You should have run the Matthew chapter 7, starting in verse 15 test, which is also in the Book of Mormon, 3 Nephi chapter 14, verse 15. You shall know a false prophet by their fruits. The results of the words. Are they lying or are they telling the truth? It's not a spiritual witness feeling test. You botched Moroni chapter 10. Moroni chapter 10 must be done after the pattern of Matthew chapter 7 and 3rd Nephi 14, as well as Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28. Liken the word unto a seed. Faith without works is dead. Seed without fruit is dead. You can't have spiritual fruit. You die. You're dead. You must have the physical results of the word. So, the name of the church, the physical results of the word, the church lies, Joseph Smith is true. He never changed the name of the church. That is the fact of church history. This church is started by Brigham Young, and Brigham Young alone, and he does not have authority to lead as a successor to Joseph Smith. He is not the successor of Joseph Smith. Therefore, Joseph Smith does not belong to him, nor does the Book of Mormon. Simple test to run. Mormons won't run it, and as a result of their failure to produce fruits, Mormons instead produce the fruits of corruption that both of those passages warn you not to do. Not to mention Alma 32, starting in verse 28. Don't cast out the word by your unbelief. Oops, Mormons did it. And so Mormons are corrupt, not just lying and spreading the lies of this church, but the fruits of the devil for lying are manifested in Mormons, committing crimes, threatening other people to believe the lie with emotional guilt trips and extortion rackets, physical punishments that, the Danites themselves, 40 years later, confirmed of the forged document. Putting to rights physically what they deem is not right to cleanse Joseph Smith and his church. Oh, wow. Confessing your evil with your secret combination, the order of the Danites, rather than Joseph Smith's order of Emmanuel. There are saved two churches, Mormons. You chose wrong. So, in the Deseret News, they are claiming a BYU study says that Mormons, by being Mormon, are uniquely religious in an increasingly secular world. And they go on to show the stats that Mormons are involved in ever-increasing numbers on missions and the CES program. Not just at the BYUs, to be indoctrinated in the church's lies. We ran the test. These are the consequences of liars, pants on fires, who are incapable of telling the truth and being good. Incapable. And so what the BYU study actually tells us, behind the cover-up of the lie, is that the church's educational system and the missionary work is creating a delusional reality, separating Mormons uniquely from Christians' delusions of reality. from reality that is real. Secular is a Christian corruption of the definition. Secular originally meant an age or a generation, a period of time. And so the dispensation of the gospel, a secular period of the gospel. Christians, however, turned it into worldly, carnal, sensual, devilish, godless heathens who are secular, and therefore religious is the one true way of Christianity. Yeah, you can see that. Even Google exposes this, even though they have the Christianized meaning of secular. When you get down to the origin, you go, I don't see religious or worldly anywhere in the definition. It's age and generation. That's weird. Why is this? So yes, when you go through Scott and Liddell's Greek-English lexicon of the New Testament, they likewise inform you of the Christian added definitions to famous gospel doctrinal words. And you know that you can dismiss those because the original texts were written before the creation of Christianity. Nonetheless, see, the BYUs and their studies, they claim they're professionals, they're PhDs running this test, and yet they're dumb as bricks. Dumb as bricks. Tampering and destroying and ruining their study in order to be faith promoting for the church. They have biased their research, and it is all therefore null and void. Corrupt. The word has been corrupted by tampering with the outcome. Can't do that. The words must lead to the conclusion without tampering. So, yes, when you run the test, is the Book of Mormon Christian? The answer is always no. The Book of Mormon itself tells you it isn't. So, this is the dilemma we face, Mormons. Are you willing to accept reality? The answer apparently is no. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the enemy threat to destroy mankind that Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon warned you about. In 1838, or not 1838, oh my God, 2020. It's 1838 when the Danites emerged, as exposing themselves from being in 1837, leading the Exodus to Missouri. But then the Missouri War, which is this larger paper, that I can now do a whole book on, let alone the whole outline of the church that led up to 1838 can now be put into a book. And I was working on this other white paper afterwards, till Joseph Smith was assassinated. The whole outline of the church, the factual outline. And so as I do my videos here, over 9,000 now, over the 9 years since I changed my format, my theme, to warn Mormons of the danger you're in, to try to rescue you, I occasionally do church history videos. And the church history videos always are with the scripture test to find out who they are. And it's to check to see what happened to them in 1838. Were they a part of Joseph Smith's Kirtland licensing? Were they converted to the Danites in 1838? Or were they a part of Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball's secret combination, converted from 1832? Those are the tests that I run. Which are you? Because I know the facts. I don't need to keep praying to find out if the facts are no longer true and that there's a new truth for them. Facts are facts. They don't change. Like a testimony. It doesn't change. It doesn't strengthen. It doesn't weaken. You can't lose it. You've either got it or you don't. By repeating it over and over again does not give it to you. Packer lied in his book, claiming he was telling this to missionaries. Fine. I'll find it for you. We'll read it. Packer. See, I had to search for the reference because the person who did the picture meme online did not put the reference of where it came from. It made you believe that it was a conference talk because it shows Ballard at the pulpit of conference. I found out it was in his book that he had published. And I don't have the reference of the page number. It was done previously, and I did that video for you. It is not unusual to have a missionary say, "How can I bear testimony until I get one?" Yes, I do remember on my 19-year-old mission when Creole Coford took over from President Barton. In 1989, he held a mission conference, gathered us all together in Queens at the mission home church, and gave us the lesson on faith, how to develop it. There has to be a physical word to start it off with. You can't have faith without the word. The word starts off the faith process. You either believe it or you don't. And so he went over Alma chapter 32. You need to believe it. So run the test. And he did it in steps for the development of the test, for the way he presented it. So afterward, the elders and some sisters were all gathered around him, and one of them asked him, as I was listening in, "What if you don't have a testimony? Are we lying to our investigators if we tell them the church is true when we didn't know ourselves?" "Why are you on a mission again?" "Oh, your bishop thought it would help you grow and develop character to stop your troublemaking." Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless. Yeah. And so Coford used Alma chapter 32, starting in verse 28, to say, well, if you don't know, tell them what you believe. And if you don't believe, tell them what you hope is true, so that you're not lying to the missionaries. Ballard, however, I quote, "How can I testify that God lives, that Jesus is the Christ, and that the gospel is true? If I do not have such a testimony, would that not be dishonest?" Yeah, it would. Oh, if I could teach you this one principle. A testimony is to be found in the bearing of it. No, it's not. He lied. In his own book. And so Mormons who have read his book, who know of that meme, spread that lie. The living prophet of Jesus, because they didn't run the test, now spread the lie. And so Moroni chapter 10 is spread around by missionaries that it's the feeling. Ignoring manifest the truth, the fruit, through the process of science. So, Oaks got leaked by a mission president, brand new, going out on his mission for 3 years. And then got leaked by a little sister missionary. No other stake president leaked this. No other parent leaked this. It was only Sister Jessica who posted it on her website for the mission. She was brand new, as Marquis was brand new. They were both brand new, and Marquis quoted Oaks from his mission meeting. Las Vegas, Nevada, March 14th, 2020. The odds of this happening are astronomical. Secular. Which is also part of the definition of secular. Astronomy. Let me read it to you directly as it is from. So even though the original is generation or age, from saculum, of the Latin, into Old French. Number 3. They even have 1 and 2. Christian church. Telling you the definition is Christian, not real. 3. Of or denoting slow changes in the motion of the sun or planets, and thus how a period, generation, or age is involved. And then for economics, of the fluctuation or trend occurring or persisting over an indefinitely long period. See, my brother should be using the correct definition for his career with the church. My brother is supposed to be secular. The BYU study was supposed to be secular. It was not supposed to be religious. You biased the report. Dumbasses. So Oaks confesses to them. Nobody else was supposed to know. Marquis was not supposed to notify the parents or the stake presidents, let alone the missionaries. And the missionaries weren't supposed to post it to have it leaked. Nobody was supposed to know. Oakes was not supposed to tell in the first place, but still, nobody was supposed to know of this. And there's a reason why. The church is the enemy. They're going to murder everybody and blame Jesus for it. This is not the end of the world, but merely a test, a trial run for the second coming. I've already given you this information prior to finding out about it last year in November, when it got leaked by Mormons. They found Sister Jessica, her website, and this document, because they came back from vacation, and a month later they decided, hey, I want to find out what Nelson said in conference a month ago. Jesus! Jesus is coming! A month later is too late. In that conference, he said, in the coming day. The week had come and gone. I did the videos. Likewise, I've been doing the videos with the Danites, the ones who made the original threat to do all this 200 years ago. And Oakes' leak confirmed, yep. But that was the information I needed as to why it didn't happen in 2020 as I knew it was supposed to. It was a test run. Oh my God. All scripture prophecy with their secular astronomical calendar dates and clock times for 2020, and they ran a test. This is why we're not in Zion. I have shown my fruit to Mormons so that they could run the test on me. They won't do it. But nonetheless, dear God. Dear God. So yes, everything that's happened since was to set up for right now. And Trump, sure enough, is continuing to run tests and extending it out into next year. And so Oakes, fine, I'll become the president then. We'll continue this tradition. We'll resume young adult devotionals. And we'll resume obtaining land for temples and ever-increasing wealth hoarded by expanding the giving machines even further this year to fund terrorism for Islam, since we've got a whole year still. Bleep and bleepity bleep. Bleep. I want Zion. So, despite the extension, this now means that there are certain DVDs that I'll be able to obtain that I've been looking forward to and was hoping that I wouldn't get them, despite wishing I did have them. Nonetheless, bleep you, Oakes. Weekend at Bernie's, near death. Incompetent, mentally retarded, suffering from tardive dyskinesia. Bleep you. because I ran the test. I know the church is evil, corrupt, lying. This is why my videos are not faith-promoting, Mormons, in case you're still listening and weren't offended with truth and reality. BYU says I'm delusional. Church is true. Church is true. So, let's do, it was Pakistanis, a part of the Islamic the Islamic State, funded by Iran, Saudi Arabia, gotta get my country straight, that the Saudi Arabian princess then obtained the funds for that from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, since Biden's administration, have been laundering money through Saudi Arabia, as well as other Islamic organizations, to fund the terrorism of the other Islamic groups that are all laundered the money through charity. And so, yes, Gaza is part of this. The church funded Islam. Islam funded Hamas to strike against Israel on October 7th. That's the money trail. When you're doing an investigation of a crime scene, follow the money. Ta-da! The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so, yes, Governor DeSantis of Florida came out last week and said, I'm designating CARE along with the Islamic Brotherhood as terrorists. And so, sure enough, boom. Ooh. This also helps with the test that I am running this morning. Ooh. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, on CARE's own website, is thanked for being the greatest donator for their funding of terrorism that Governor DeSantis had established is terrorism. So sure enough, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, after running the test run, then began to escalate the funding of Islamic terrorism in preparation for now. This is how you run the test. This is how you investigate a crime scene. This is how you develop a case to be prosecuted. My federal government is failing us. And yet they claim that they're against all of this. Yet the church is against the United States of Trump. Nonetheless, Trump is letting them get away with it. Why? But despite Pakistan being involved with the father and son team and their terrorism in Australia, Trump went on to say all Palestinians are banned from the U.S. So all of the Palestinians in Utah, which the Afghanis in Utah were several thousand, if I remember. Let's see if I can get the number for Palestinians in Utah. Because Islam was upset with Biden, because Biden was wishy-washy. It's his base, but he knew that Islam was in the wrong in Israel. And yet, he conquered Medicaid So he was mentally unfit for office. Nonetheless, this is also part of the test to see about freezing of the camera. We're running a whole bunch of tests this morning with this brand new camera. How many Palestinians are there in Utah? 329. Okay, yeah, Utah. 329. So we have more Afghanis because of getting out of Afghanistan, as well as Pakistan, because of the evil of Pakistan. So let's check these numbers since I'm here. So 392 Palestinians. So Pakistani. Whoa! 2,437 Pakistani. Keep note of these. I should probably be recording these for the archives. Palestinians in Utah, 392. Pakistani in Utah, 2,437. This is from the World Population Review site that these numbers are coming from, in case you were wondering. It's not AI. I ignore AI. There's a reason why. If you've been following me, you know why. And we're going to cover it again today. Afghani. Whoops. That didn't show up the previous thing. It's still showing Salt Lake Tribune. So that other site did not show up. So I'm not seeing the number. Back in 2021, when it began, it was over 550, but then there was 900 recently, which puts it over 1,450. Then I see 765 later in 2021. So that's 2,000. So let's check out this World Population Review. Let's see if I can put in another search. Afghani. So that didn't do what I wanted to do. So let's click on population. County rankings. So there's Arab population by state. Let's find out this one. This is Saudi Arabians. So Utah has, oh my hell, 8,423 for the Arab population. 8,423. Dear God. They were the ones who bombed the towers. And you let them in Utah? God. Afghan refugees. There it is. Oh my hell. By country. No, I don't want country. I want United States. The U.S. in total, 89,500. So, what about the individual states? And it apparently doesn't have those numbers. Biden kept them a super sacred secret. Wait a minute. 132,000 refugees from Afghanistan in the United States. Okay, so Afghani, we'll just say it's circa or around, approximately. Afghani. About 2,000. Oh my hell. Why don't we just hand over America to Islam? Why did you pop up? God. AI. See, the AI ads did that. They popped up what I didn't want popped up. So, yeah, all of this is because the church is no longer running a test. They are setting things up for the next coming wave that was supposed to have already happened and failed. Because Trump failed, and now he's extending it into next year, trying to push it to the midterm election to do his attack. Even though he's doing some other stuff that's panicking people. Nonetheless. Nonetheless. Dear God. Okay. So all of y'all gotta go from Utah. My next door neighbor, gone. Last month, I saw her sign that she had hung on her door for months. Love, neon sign on her door. She's Islamic. How do I know? Oh, are you stereotyping people, Travis? Are you racially profiling them? What makes Islamic women unique and clearly identified? Yeah. There's sexual abuse by their religious patriarchy. Dumbasses. You think you're getting me, and yet you just pulled a Beeman mode. God, you claim the Bible is true, and you don't even believe it. Or if you're a Mormon, you claim the Book of Mormon is true, and you don't even believe it. When you do such dumbass stunts. That's what Mormons don't get, is that when you attack me, and you give false testimonials, you lie. It means you don't believe the Book of Mormon is true when you say it is, because you lie. You never get it. You refuse to get it. Okay. And all right. So, yeah, yesterday in the theme songs in the description below, I used a song from Spinal Tap 2. If you saw Spinal Tap 2, you know who one of the actors were that was in it. And then you'll make the connection with the news all over yesterday, from the previous day even. And his son, who murdered him and his wife. Yeah. So, again, the theme song in the description below is that same thing. He wasn't murdered, or so they say. I'm betting it was the Quartermains who finally got him. Their freeze ray machine to destroy Port Charles. Yep, that was the days when I was watching General Hospital. So yeah, I'm aware. I know who he is. So thus the theme song in the description below, and it'll be a tough one for me because when I was watching General Hospital, there was a Laura who was a Mormon girl who lived down the block from me. In the second failure, I found out she's the cousin. She'd gone on to get a master's degree, had a life and a family, doing great. Just like Kevin Sorbo's character in Andromeda, the cheating whore, couldn't be faithful and wait. Give up her life to pursue finding him. It's just awful. Awful. Why would you do that? That's worse than a Dear John letter. Dear missionary, I found somebody else. I'm having his baby. I hope you're doing well on your mission and focusing on Jesus. Bye. I'll probably see you at BYU as my husband is going on to get a PhD in psychology. I hope we can still be friends. Oh my God. So, here we go. Psychology, AI. We already ran the test. AI is a fraud. It shouldn't even be called AI because it's a fraud. Further testing. Is he going to be peeing? So, the news reported that they can't find the Brown shooter. Brown University in Maine, I guess. And, or am I mixing up my states? Regardless, they're now using enhanced photos. Gotta make sure I don't lean in. What they mean by enhanced is AI. Originally, there were photographs. And the first photography was by a stand with a box on it and a flash that took hours until it finally flashed. So the people had to sit there until it flashed, catches their excited, happy faces. And eventually, they would improve photography so that a camera roll could be developed. And my grandpa in his mansion had in the basement a photo developing lab. And some of the pictures of me that survived, that you see, are from his photo lab. And then they would have at the malls a photo developing place where you submit your cartridges, Kodachrome, and get them developed. And then they develop the instant camera. You take the picture and out pops the film, and then you shake it, and eventually it would show the picture. And so the little teen boy working behind the counter taking your cartridge would develop the film, stick it in the machine and plop it out, and then hand it back to you and keep a copy of your porno for himself. Lucky bastard. So, yeah, people weren't as wanting to do that because of other people seeing them, necessarily. Sometimes they did it on purpose to tease the teenage boy, but that's another issue. Lucky bastard. Some photomat places were very strict and kept a count of the paper and the ink used. Hey, we're missing a lot of inventory, kid. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Nonetheless, yeah, in Massapequa Park, when I started my mission for the first 3 months, yeah, the roommate in the house where we lived in the top floor, almost like the attic, that was converted into an apartment or a room. The roommate lived in one of the middle floors of the first level stairs and had a room there. And he worked at a photomat. That was his job. And he was able to stay at the house to pay the rent from the photomat. And he rarely was home. And when he did come home, he went straight to bed anyway. So we as missionaries never really knew or associated with him. It was a rare occasion. But nonetheless, he worked at the photomat. And I was told not to leave my towel in the bathroom. because he will use it. Just like in the other place where another person also shared a room. Don't leave. Oh, dear God, I left a towel in the bathroom. Oh, my hell, I had to burn it. Dear God. What is that? Oh, my God. And I didn't have money to buy a new towel. I had to go without food because of that. Dear God. Nonetheless. And so, in the movie world, motion pictures began. Originally, they were black and white, just like photographs were black and white. So, now we have digital cameras for digital photographs. And of course, there are your purists for every single new technological development. You know, if you're worried about your art going away, you have the camera, right? You can keep doing the art. Why are you trying to force everybody else to stick with the Stone Age? Nonetheless, another issue, not related to this video. So motion pictures were the same. You've got film strips with the individual frames, black and white, that put together created a motion picture. And so cartooning was eventually developed because of the frames that you can do to make it a motion picture. Then they invented color, not just for photography, but for moving pictures. And then they invented the way on how to restore or enhance the original black and whites by doing Photoshop of putting color onto them. And so some of the great classics of the black and white era were turned into colorized. And there, of course, were the purists. You have your VHS copy, right? Why are you complaining? Nonetheless. And so, yeah, at the beginning, there was a little awkward. It was a little weird. But eventually, they worked out the kinks, and they were, you know, with the new camera, turning everything into color from what is seen. It's not real. It's an image that is imposed on the film. Just like digital. What you're seeing is not me. It's a digital manipulation of my actual physical image. And so there are pixels for digital. Because films would eventually be VHS tapes or beta, which lost out to VHS. Apparently people say beta was better, but it doesn't matter. We're now into the digital age with streaming. But the DVDs were then created, and then the Blu-ray was then created. So as an art, taking my physical image and putting it on a two-dimensional, even though they came up with three-dimensional videos and pictures, you had to wear the special glasses. It's still an image. It is not me that you are seeing. It is not me that you are hearing. That's for the audio portion. It's digital. And so enhancement is the improvement of the quality of the image. So VHS was a 360. Film strips were a 144 or a 240. And then DVDs were 720 pixels. And then Blu-ray is a 1080. This advertised as a 1080p. I don't need 4K or 8K as GoPros or 4K or 8K. As you'll see a lot of YouTube channels doing videos that put in the title 4K or even sometimes 8K, I guess. I don't care. And so this also not only is supposed to improve the quality of the picture by having a whole bunch more little dots to put in certain colors. And with the improved technology, they're able to utilize more colors onto the screen. And the more pixels, the more accurate of a recreation of my image they're able to make. This is important to understand. So when CGI digital came around, computer generated image, and then you've got Photoshop, that's a computer generated tampering app, which I saw this morning that they just upgraded without my permission again. So I'm worried about what they've done now to shut me up. Shut up, Travis. We're not happy with the latest pictures of oaks that you did. We're making sure you don't do them ever again. Bleep you. Aren't you in trouble, Microsoft? Didn't you get in trouble? God. Isn't Gates the Microsoft guy? Isn't he in the Epstein files? And yeah, Democrats have seen the rest of the photos that they have yet to publish or post for us, and they may not because it involves sex with the little girls of the individuals. Oh dear God. Oh dear God. Yeah, Epstein wasn't kidding when he said he can ruin people's lives. There's a reason why he hung himself in jail during the missing 2 minutes of video clip. Yeah. When you're dealing with high-profile people of power and authority, oh dear God. Yeah, he had no hope for survival. And so avatars, yeah, that's all just CGI. As movies are enhancing the quality of their pictures. And deep fakes then come out, and facial recognition, all of this. All types of apps are coming out about how to manipulate your videos, how to manipulate pictures, and everybody, of course, rushes to porn because women are the most beautiful creation on the face of the universe. And then the feminazis come out and complain. You're objectifying women. Yeah, they're an image. It's an art. That's what it is. Therefore an object. Very good. It's not the actual woman. It's an artistic rendition of her. Nonetheless, feminazis unite. And so, yeah, there's the purists who always rise up. But nonetheless, and then there's their anti-technologists. We need to go back to the Stone Age. Right, Oaks? Oh, you're dead? You're an AI now? You're Big Brother. And so, none of this is real. It's all artistic imagery in a digital age. It is digital art, whether it's photographs or videos. It's all art. You know, in the Stone Age, they had to carve women out of stone. Or do fingerprint paints on the walls. The stick figure woman that is so hot and beautiful. Not anymore. We are enhancing the quality. AI with Photoshop. Those are tampering with the image, altering it from reality. And we saw this with avatars and certain Hollywood productions, where not real images are placed onto the film strips, onto photographs that are not a physical reality. Where I put sunglasses on Oaks. Oaks wasn't snapshotted with, no photo was taken, no video was taken of him in sunglasses. I put on sunglasses on Oaks. Everybody knows this, right? Nobody would think it was real, right? Nonetheless, there are people who believe things are real, that they are getting fooled, not understanding the technology that has been involved. So AI, Photoshop, none of it is real. And yes, you had those feminazi purists who attack Sports Illustrated, Playboy, saying, you're making unrealistic images of women. That's the whole point. It's art. Back off. Barbie must be real. Anatomically correct. Are you sure you want little girls and little boys to see Barbie anatomically correct? Because you don't want to teach them sex ed. Are you sure? Obese Barbie. With Ozempic now. Oh my God. Mattel and Ozempic working together. Oh. Oh. See, these purists never complained about the dolls before Barbie came around. The complaints were of a different nature back then. Oh my hell. See, the thing is that little kids, little girls, little boys who play with the boy dolls, that then they become gay because they weren't playing with girl dolls. Oh my God. We all knew they weren't real. No little girl in their right mind based her body type on a Barbie. Because she knew it wasn't real. It was the feminazis who told the girls that you are using Barbie to base your figure off of. Oh, okay. And so now in the age of plastic surgery, you've got women who have been severely abused in this manner who then go out and pay to look like Barbie, having their body mutilated. And then she's dead now. God. Leave women alone. But this is where Unreal is now reimposed back onto the real world to be altered into the unreal world. To put it in the big picture for you. God. Art becomes reality. If you've heard of that quote. It's just so sad. So, AI is not AI, especially as Photoshop or deepfake. It's not AI. It's not an intelligence. All of the sci-fi shows, Andromeda, that talk about AI, no. What we currently have is not AI. It's a fraud. It's CGI, computer-generated image, for Photoshop, for deepfake videos. The news came out and warned us that malicious actors were maliciously making fake photos and fake videos to deceive people. And that the news came out and said, you need to trust us. We will never deceive you like we have never deceived you in the past. Right, Brian Williams? I think it's NBC. In his early days, back in the 70s or 80s, there's the scandal of him doing a reporting on cars blowing up, because all of the Hollywood movies, car gets in a collision and blows up, falls off the cliff, blows up. So, Brian Williams, I think he was the helicopter thing. Another news channel was the cars blowing up. Brian Williams was in a helicopter claiming something, and it never happened. But regardless, somebody else did the news about cars blowing up upon impact, scaring the public. Oh no, my car's going to blow up if I get into a car accident. I better drive safely and wear my seatbelt. And thus the Croods, Nicolas Cage, scaring his kids into compliance to stay in the cave. And they left the cave and died. That was a great story, Dad. So real, I saw it. It's so true. So yeah, the way it happened was that they had purposely put explosives behind the frame of the truck and had it to a timed device detonator, so that when the car hit it, triggered the device and caused the explosion, but deceived the public into thinking that it was real, that cars do explode upon impact. Nope, only the Volkswagen Bug did that. emails took me to seminary one morning. And we had to pull over because it caught on fire. Yeah, his Mormon family were extremely strict on the word of wisdom concerning little meat. It was a half a strip of bacon only. No, thank you. I'll prefer my interpretation of the word of wisdom. Oh, man. So, yeah, despite his sister, now, I don't think I want to be a part of that kind of a family. Sorry. I love you. Bye. I impregnated some other girl. She's becoming a psychologist, a PhD. Doing advertising on KSL as a news segment. Oh my God. And so understand this. AI is a fraud. It's a fake. It is photoshopped. It is CGI'd. It is not real. And so Trump begins his shooting down of boats off Venezuela months after the news warned us about deep fakes, years even. So the news knows about deep fakes. And the Venezuelan president initially says those are AI fakes, they aren't real. And so then Trump, got exposed as having played the new AI game I can't remember the photo that I made of that. The new game that was coming out. The AI version. Venezuelan drug boats, narco boats. But nonetheless, yeah. There are video games for this. And AI is specifically designed to deceive people, to create scenarios that are not real, red flag events. Trump loves those. His ear blown off is proof of that. Oh, did you forget that? Yeah, his ear got blown off. You saw the blood. So real. Gone. And yet, yeah. And everybody says that was real. Somebody tried to assassinate him. You're trying to threaten us to say it was real, when obviously it wasn't. Yes, somebody died, but it wasn't Trump. It was the firefighter. These are things that cause people to go, wait a minute. Something's not right here. So yes, with Tyler Robinson, something wasn't right. And so the way that they caught Tyler Robinson was through enhanced photography, as they claimed. You can't do that. If the video footage of which they got the snapshots from is only a 720 quality, and it was blurred and nobody could see it and identify anybody from it, you cannot simply turn it into a 1080p and there it is, it's real. Because just like with the new technologies going back and enhancing the others, no. The colorization, No, those were not what was real if it were to be a colorized recording. Film stripping. They manipulated what the colors were to be. Likewise, when they enhanced the VHS into the digital, they went back and put in colors. It is not real. The same thing with AI. It is imposing colors to enhance the quality. You cannot enhance the quality. You're altering. And this is why facial recognition was a complete and utter failure. And now we call it AI. It's still a failure. Because when you impose what isn't there to clear it up from a 720 to an 1080, you alter the 720. When you download one of my videos from YouTube that were 1080, and this is officially 1080, it's supposed to be improved quality, we'll see. The Strengthening Church Members Committee may just download it as a 720 rather than a 1080, so that it's 15 terabytes instead of times 3 for, oh dear God, 45 terabytes? So it depends on how accurate of a quality of oaks with sunglasses they want. But that condenses it down into a better quality 720. That's all that's doing. That is enhancing a 720 quality into what was a 1080. But to take a 720 and to alter it to be a 1080, no. You are now changing the art. It is no longer the original 720. You've now altered the Mona Lisa. It is not the Mona Lisa anymore. It's your creation of it. Your rendition. It is now a fake. It's not the real Mona Lisa. Okay? Is that understood? So, with Tyler, the enhanced photos were not enhanced. They were AI'd, altered. And so it imposed a character that is not real from the 720 or even 360 quality of the security cameras that were being used to obtain the pictures. AI is a fake, it is a fraud, it cannot be trusted. Can be used for art, but it needs to be identified as art. This is AI, and it needs to be separated from all of the real photos of the women that I want pictures of. I don't want AI pictures of them, I want the real photographs of them. You know, AI, fine, I can appreciate that's art. I don't want that version of my art for my collection. Somebody else can have it. I don't want it. Separate it out from the actual photos of the women. Sydney Sweeney has good genes. You really can't improve those. Keep out. touch her. Leave her alone as she is. She's perfect. I love you just the way you are. So, yeah, what they did with Tyler Robinson and what they did with the brown guy is create a character that is not real for people to now search for. And that's how Tyler got locked up, is because the AI character looked closer to Tyler than the original did. And so Tyler turned himself in. He didn't want to, he didn't do it. But everybody now insists he looks exactly like the AI character from that building rather than the shooter from over there. See how they're tampering with court cases? These photographs and videos that are AI'd are not admissible in court. Defense attorneys need to be on the alert for this. And so this is why the defense team of Tyler Robinson is concerned that they are not getting the video footage of the evidence against Tyler, their client. And the prosecution says, no, we've got all of this mens rea evidence against him. He hates Charlie. He wishes he were dead. We got him. No, you need Tyler connected to the act. You don't have it. And the evidence is getting destroyed and altered. And thus the case is destroyed even further than it already is with the tampering that everybody's doing to it. Likewise, Brown is getting tampered in the same manner because Trump wants AI. And the news isn't catching on to this. Reality isn't real, truth isn't true. Remember Rudy Giuliani? He just got pardoned. Hello? News! Wake up! You talk about woke and getting that wrong. Beam and moat. So yeah, some very dangerous times are coming where not real is being portrayed as real. Trump loves this. Because with the new Epstein photos that were released before the others that they told us about, oh dear God. Yeah, Trump said, yeah, he has photos of everybody. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's committing the crime. It's the new normal. And thus, there's nothing there if everybody's doing it. Because if you're going to get Trump busted, then you have to get everybody busted. And then who's going to run the government? Who's going to run the corporations? Who's going to be employed? Everybody's doing it. Just like from the Americans at the grocery stores. Oh, it goes back to put the grocery stores, make the grocery stores great again. Everybody's committing crime at the grocery stores. You can't just take me down. You gotta take it all down, and then nobody has food. Exactly. That's the whole point of criminals. Trump knows this. If everybody's committing crime, how do you stop it? And thus Gotham. Same situation. You can't fix the problems because it's the culture. And so the enemy justifies their committing of crimes. Right, Oaks? That's where you identify the cause and you shut them down, Trump. So we are in grave danger. Dear God, over almost 2 hours. So yeah, we're finished here anyway. AI data centers. People are now finally protesting them because they're seeing their electric bills. And I never understood that. It never made sense to me. Why am I having to pay for somebody else's electric use? That doesn't make sense. But that's what the data centers are doing. Because they're AI, they project, and so they have to buffer to project the outcome. And that uses up a whole ton of energy, and then they demand that they get hooked up to nuclear power plants so that they can nuke to get extra power to run their systems. And that results in higher energy bills, not just because they're revving them hot and heavy so that they have to put them in a cool environment to increase the amount of electric usage, but they're forcing the cities to pay for them rather than the corporations paying the high electric bills. It's being spread to the public. And so people's electric bills are skyrocketing during the summer and the winter because of this. And thus the cost of living skyrockets. And people aren't getting compensated at work for the skyrocketing cost of living, thus creating a wealth gap between the corporations who are causing the problem with the people who are the victims sharing the electric bill. My usage for this apartment is on a separate grid than every other apartment building, so that I don't pay for other people's electric usage, only mine. That's how it's supposed to be. But data centers are the exception, because the states are giving incentives to come and build their data centers. So Utah, likewise, is not excluded from this. They're building it for AI, for data centers. Nuclear power, they're wanting to build for the data centers. And it's stupid. There are consequences for words, remember? The actions from the words that they are using to justify building a data center and building a nuclear power plant to power the data center will have consequences. It is not good. Nobody wants to listen to me. So yeah, people are finally protesting because they're sick and tired of having to pay for their electric bills rather than their own data usage, their own electric usage. The end. We're all dead. So stay in the cave, kids.